So hey, hope you're doing well. Today I'm going to be, uh, showing you guys how to pick the right niche. So before we get started, thanks for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Who am I? My name is Diego. I'm 19 years old and I help scale e-commerce businesses to the next level using paid advertising and organic content strategy. Why should you trust me? I've been in this space for like almost 2 years now. Um, I've had previous case studies shown in past videos of mine before. You can check those out by either clicking on my profile or just checking on my YouTube channel. Um, I've developed such an understanding of what I'm talking about. I guess that's kind of why I should be trusted, but I'm not going to be talking about any of that right now. I'm going to be talking about how you should find the right niche for you. Um, the goal of this video is to teach you how to pick the right niche for you and how you can understand to build a brand or business from doing so. So I guess let's get into that. So the number one question you should ask yourself is, do you have experience or expertise in what you want to do? So for example, maybe you're into video editing and you know a couple things about video editing. You know how to use Photoshop, or you know how to use effects, or you know how to use Adobe Pro, or whatever the case may be, right? You can use that expertise and skill set or experience that you have and turn it into something monetizable. When people want to build a brand or start a business, they always think of coming up with a new idea or do something that the market isn't doing. And obviously that's great and all, but you got to realize a lot of the time it's not. You don't have to do something unique. You can do something that someone is doing, but just make it better. Most of the time, like I said, you don't have to do this. It all comes down to what you already know or the insights you have. So instead of spending, hours or days or weeks or months coming up with something, all you need to do is do something that you're already familiar with. And maybe let's say you're not familiar with anything at all. Maybe let's say by chance you don't have any skills or you don't have any knowledge. Then find something that you take interest in, or find something that you can build up as a skill and uh, monetize it. Like for example, I guess copywriting can be a good example, or running ads on Facebook or TikTok, or a skill like that, a skill that's monetizable and something that you can develop knowledge in. If let's say you didn't have any knowledge at all. But anyways, it's best to sell to an industry that you're already familiar with, especially if you have insights or things that most people in the industry don't have, right? Let's say you do lead gen, for example, and you notice that there's such an outdated form of lead gen that everyone else does. What you can do better is that you can provide better lead gen strategies for other people, and you can use that into use the new model of lead gen that you know to use it for other people, and obviously grow your business or maybe a personal brand from there. And remember, most of the time you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just need to make it better. And that's kind of the beauty of stuff like entrepreneurship and all that. You don't really have to reinvent something. You can just make it better. So your opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is the loss of benefit that could have been awarded if the next best alternative was chosen. If you chose what you're knowledgeable in, there's opportunity cost with it, right? So um, you could possibly miss out on, and this is more on a temporary basis. You can lose out on a business model with better scalability, investing in assets on a full scale, or something else that the market needs. Obviously, since you're focused on what you already know and what you already have some sort of expertise in, you're gonna, at least on a temporary level, miss out on things that you could do. But since you're so knowledgeable on one thing, you want to monetize that first. And that's kind of my advice. I'd say you should monetize what you already know, what you're good at, and use that to your advantage. Because me, obviously, I wanted to run ads and do stuff like that for businesses, but I realized I already have a talent in, content creation somewhat. I have a background in running accounts before with social media management. So I've made content before. I know how to get good engagement rates. on social media profiles. So because of that, I use that to my advantage, and because of that, I do organic content strategy too. So that's something that I've taking advantage of my own and have been doing pretty decent with. You also want to make a smart decision. You don't want to be doing anything, silly. You don't want to be doing something that may not work for you. You also want to look at price points, alternatives, and ways to achieve results at a consistent rate and time interval. Like, for example, let's say, you're charging a weight loss program that costs like $300, and, the alternatives are all expensive and they don't guarantee the results, but you guarantee that you're going to lose 20 pounds in the first 4 weeks or so, right? And as long as you get consistent results, you're able to really monetize it and sell it. It's all about selling, really. But you have to realize that what you're doing is smart, and what you're doing can really achieve results at a consistent rate to the point where you can scale. You want to figure out how accessible your market is. You want to make sure that you're easily able to access whether you want to make sure that you're easily able to access your market, whether you're in social media or a forum or any forum where you can just access your audience. If your audience isn't in social media, a Facebook group, a forum, anywhere accessible, like if they're basically in a way where you have to either pay or you literally can't get in unless you meet certain criteria, don't bother going into that niche, especially if you don't have capital. I think it's still possible to pay your way through to get an audience, but maybe you don't have the capital, or maybe you're not in the space where you can, then don't bother trying and do something that you have some sort of expertise in. And maybe let's say that you did have expertise in that and you have to pay your way there. I mean, I guess I'll get more into that later, because I do talk about, having capital and stuff. So I'll probably get back to that point in a second. But, places like these are accessible, like forums, social media, a Facebook group, any type of social media or platform. Places like those are accessible since you're able to do outreach, get feedback, and even get potential clients or customers. So your competition is also a big one too. If there's tight competition in your niche, either don't bother or figure out a way to differentiate yourself from the market. If everyone is selling the same thing, don't bother. Or, like I said, try to figure out a way to differentiate yourself. Because if everyone's, nowadays people are doing, SMMA, I guess that's a big one. A lot of people are doing SMMA, and everyone's doing the same thing. Everyone's doing Facebook ads, or nowadays everyone's doing TikTok ads. If you really want to differentiate yourself and not be like everyone else, you have to offer something to your client or potential client that can guarantee them results and not have a lot of risk. So, for example, I guess an example would be, we would guarantee you triple your MRR, or else we run your ads for free until we do. That would be a good offer. An example like that. But despite that, the more competition there is, the easier it is to teach or sell it, which is kind of weird how that works. But this is mainly because the more people in the space, it's obviously a proven model, so it makes it easier to teach or sell. You don't really want to be in a market where it's harder to teach or sell, since no one isn't really in that space, since it's unfamiliar. And again, it all goes back to opportunity cost. And, I know I kind of sound contradictory a bit, since I'm, talking about how it's easier to teach or sell if there's competition, but you also want to avoid competition. There comes a point where you have to realize, like, even though you're in a tight space, you have to realize, can I really differentiate myself? And if you can't differentiate yourself, then don't bother. But if you can differentiate yourself and you can offer something that's intriguing to a potential client or customer, then that's something you should definitely look into. But again, it all goes back to opportunity cost, like I said, which is, possibly avoiding your other options if, let's say, you chose, in your opinion, your best option. So the next question would be, do you have the capital to start with what you want to do? This shouldn't be too much of a problem, I hope, for many people, since a lot of the business models nowadays cost less than $3K, like drop shipping, content creation, an agency, e-commerce, stuff like that. And I know a lot of the people watching this here are either over 18. There might be some people that are um, younger than 18, and my absolutely blessed, because I think people like that are awesome. I think if you're younger than 18 and you're watching this, I give you my absolute blessings, because you're putting yourself in a situation that you're almost setting yourself up for success if you're really consistent. But I want to get into that more. Let's say you don't have the capital, right? There's a chance that maybe if you're older than 18 or younger, you may not have the capital. And I'd say figure out ways you can earn money to eventually do what you want to do, right? Because trust me, when I started my agency, like I had to work. I had to work to, fund it. But literally, you don't even have to work. There's so many ways to make money nowadays. And I know that's the most cliche saying ever, but literally, there's so many ways you can make money. You can literally like go to a garage, like, Gary Vee. You could be like Gary Vee and go garage sale flipping, or, you can find something in your house and sell it on eBay, or you can do so many things. It's crazy how you can make money nowadays. But I mean, you can do something that can make you money, whether it's working a job or finding some obscure way to make money, right? And maybe, let's say you can't do that. Get the skills needed and find ways you can do the things you want to do for as little as possible, right? And when I mean as little as possible, I mean with little cost as possible, right? And typically, you're most likely going to have at least $40 to $50 in your bank account, which may be enough. But again, I recommend that you should definitely at least have $1,000 in your bank account if you really want to start something. So other I'd say get a job, get a skill, monetize that skill, or start finding ways to make money, because that's something that you should definitely take into account. So what do you need to do to build or transform the trajectory of your business or brand? Well, I'm going to ask you these questions and you can answer these for yourself. Does your business need effective systems in place? Can you build your brand effectively? Do you need a large team to assist you with your product or service or brand? What's the long-term vision or goal? It's questions like these that you should consider before hopping into your niche. Because unless you have a lot of capital, you're some sort of like elite level entrepreneur or brand builder. Like if you're like an Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos that had to wait like like tens of years, they had to wait 10 to 20 years to really get to where they are. You're going to have to do something more simpler and realistic for you based on your situation. Some people think that having something revolutionary or something the world's never seen before will make them a fortune. And maybe that's true to some extent, but again, one, you may not have the capital for it, and two, it's not always the case. You can come up with something great, but at the end of the day, if you don't know how to sell it, or if you don't know how to market it, or if it really isn't as great as you think it is, it's not going to scale. And you need something that's simple to scale before you really want to do those big projects. Like Elon Musk did not start Tesla or SpaceX when he first started, right? Obviously, he learned how to code. He learned how to program. He learned the basics of computer programming, and then he built PayPal. And from that, he got his portion of selling the company of PayPal. And then he started Tesla and SpaceX. And from there, he went off, right? Unless you're willing to wait that long, you're going to need something more simpler to scale. So here's, I guess, the perfect traits that a brand or a business has. They have simple scalability. Again, they're very easy to scale. They have long-term goals. They have a mission. They have something that they have in mind, whether it's they want to be the biggest brand ever, or they want to be $100 million business in 5-7 years time, whatever the case may be. They have a concrete offer or message, and they have high margins or opportunity. And what I mean by that is, obviously profit margins, but opportunity is that they have an ability to become something greater than they already are. So I guess what's next? What is next? That's the question that you could be asking yourself after watching this. Well, what's next is that you really take these questions into account. I want you to write down these questions and really think for however long you need to. write these questions down, think about these questions, answer them, do research on what niche you want to be in. Really think about it, because if you really want to get into the niche that you want to be doing, you really have to consider how beneficial it could be for you, the risk that you're taking, the cost that it'll take, your overall mission, your purpose. You really have to take all of this in, because otherwise you're destined for failure. And no one wants to fail. Everyone wants to win. And I believe that you can win. But what you have to do is that you have to sit down and ask yourself these questions. Otherwise, you're not going to know what you want to do, or you're not going to know where to go. You want to make sure that you're calculative in what you do, and you want to make sure that you're able to understand the consequences of what you want to go through. You want to make sure that you understand what you're getting into. And once you can do that, the better it is that you can succeed. So hopefully you get something out of this video. Maybe that kind of, if you're not in a niche or you're really trying to narrow it down, maybe this gives you more insight. Really thank you for watching this video. I hope you get something out of it. And I'll see you soon. Thank you.